Good morning, صباح الخير. Good morning everyone. يعني إنه لمن دواعي سروري طبعا.
Good morning everyone. First off, I'd like to welcome our brothers from the Qatari Committee on Human Rights and our friends, representatives of several different international institutions. It is a pleasure to have you on board here at this edition of the World Congress on Justice with Children. I'd like to welcome the Sultan as well, His Excellency the Sultan, who will be filling us in on what has been done in Qatar with regards to children's right. I'd like to welcome Mr. Ghaffar Ali and Hamad Al-Ajri. They'll be introducing themselves now, so without further ado, over to you, gentlemen. In the name of God the Merciful, first off, I'd like to welcome you all to this session organized by the Arab Network for National Human Rights, as well as the National Human Rights Committee of Qatar. Thank you very much for your attention. I'd like to thank the organizers of this event for inviting us. In this session, we'll be talking about the Arab Network for National Human Rights, so we'll be introducing the network to you, fill you in on what it does, and tell you a little bit about what we do to protect children as well as their rights. We will also discuss the role played by international institutions in children's protection, and we'll be sharing with you the experience of the Qatari National Committee in this field. There'll be two presentations after each of them, actually after both presentations will be finished. We'll open the floor for question. Let me introduce to you our speakers. All of them have long-standing experience in human rights protection, but also environmental protection. The colleague to my left has held different positions, different posts at several different international institutions throughout his career in the past 16 years, and was eventually named Secretary General of the National Human Rights Committee. This is Mr. Hamad Al-Ajri. He's also collaborated with the General Committee of Arab Institutions. We recently and 7 years ago, that very same committee actually elected the Sultan as Secretary General. So without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to the Sultan. Thank you very much.
السيدات والسادة.
Ladies and gentlemen, may the peace of God be with you. First and foremost, thank you for taking part in this session. I'm here to talk to you about the Arab Network for National Human Rights in hopes that this can contribute to opening up avenues of collaboration with interested parties from the same sector internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, as a consequence of the strong belief we have in the importance of upholding human rights in Arab countries, the Arab Network for National Human Rights held a meeting in Nouakchott in 2011 on April 26th and 27th. And in that meeting, we made a decision to create the Arab Network for National Human Rights. We signed a dedicated declaration called the Nouakchott Declaration. And the declaration, this agreement, is basically a call to action to uphold human rights based on the principle of the International Human Rights Convention and similar ratified treaties worldwide. The network is made up of all human rights associations from Arab countries, and it was founded pursuant to the 1993 Treaty of Paris. The goal of this network is to uphold and consolidate human rights in Arab countries with a view to protecting human beings, protecting their rights. This network backs all Arab institutions working in the field, institutions, international associations, national associations, once again pursuant to the 1993 Paris Agreement. The network is made up of the following entities: the General Assembly, the Executive Secretariat, the General Secretariat, as well as all the national institutions of Arab countries. We hold annual meetings. We call those ordinary meetings. We have a rotating presidency, and presidency rotates, taking heed of principles of geographic equilibrium, so Maghreb, the Arab Peninsula, and etc., etc. So again, we respect the principle of geographic equilibrium. So we have four large regions which are represented in the Arab network. The four sort of umbrella regions. So every 4 years, the presidency rotates between these four regions. The Executive Secretariat is generally held as a post by the host country of the annual meeting. Executive committee meetings are also held in the same host country as the Executive Secretariat every year, and the headquarters of the network is located in Doha, in Qatar. This is laid down in our regulations. And the Secretary General is elected as per the rules laid down in our statutes. Ladies and gentlemen, this network, the Arab network, has a number of priority agenda items that it works towards, and much like many of you, we attempt to tackle through our initiatives several different issues: discrimination, migration, food safety. We're also very much interested in SDGs, human rights, artificial intelligence, digital rights as well as, of course, the empowerment of boys and girls, young boys and young girls. We very much care about the future of education, for example. But we also study the impact of climate change on human rights, and as a result of all of our priorities, we've set up over the years many different workshops, many different working groups, which have been working steadfastly, and actually their initiatives have already borne fruit in a number of different ways.
أنها أتاحت مجالا لتبادل التجارب والخبرات
والاطلاع على التجارب والممارسات الفضلى.
We also very much look forward to sharing best practices, information about best practices with other human rights associations through the conferences that we have organized and held in our member countries. We have been able to reach an agreement about a number of human rights related issues, leading to a consolidation of the role of organizations working in this field. For example, we have backed the setup of many new human rights associations which were founded pursuant to the 1993 Paris Agreement. We also collaborate with human rights organizations on a global scale. We organize workshops, we do a lot of follow-up work with regards to what is done by international associations. And we often meet with high representatives of governments in Arabic countries. One of our main concern, of course, is the Palestinian issue, as you can imagine, and pursuant to human rights legislation. We've also launched a number of appeals recently in this regard, because, ladies and gentlemen, the Israeli occupation and all the violence perpetrated by Israel against the Gaza Strip has led to a situation of clear human rights violation on the ground in Palestine. Lots of people have died, lots of people have been wounded. The Gaza Strip has been wrecked, and the human rights of Palestinians have been repeatedly and systematically voided. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is disastrous. Children are constantly targeted by bombings and shelling. They are starved. The Israeli occupation is a murderous one. They murder, they detain, they starve. Over 65,000 children in Gaza are at risk due to looming starvation. More than 1,000 children have already died because of it. They've died from hunger. They starved to death. And in fact, 2 children who were queuing for food were shot and died. This population is being tortured. Their fundamental rights as human beings are constantly infringed upon. This, in spite of the intervention of international human rights associations. But we need to do more. This is not enough. What is being done is not enough. If we want to put an end to this aggression, we need to do more. Right now, there is impunity in the Gaza Strip, and we need to work towards doing away with these war crimes and bring the responsible parties to justice. Ladies and gentlemen, armed conflicts and similar high-risk situations jeopardize human rights. People in Gaza are being killed, tortured. Their rights are constantly voided. All people have a right to food and water, to healthcare. And a number of countries, signatories to all existing international human rights conventions, have done very little to put an end to this in Palestine.
في الأراضي الفلسطينية.
Aside from this occupation, aside from the acts of barbarism committed by Israeli forces in Palestine, human rights are void in a number of other ways as well in the Gaza Strip. Ladies and gentlemen, these conflicts, armed conflicts, are a direct result of a failure to comply with the 2030 agenda. They are a direct result of a lack of interest in human rights. And to this end, we are carrying out a number of activities to ensure that human rights are protected throughout the Arab world. For example, we have training initiatives ongoing at a number of school centers in the Arab world aimed at children aged between 8 and 12 years of age, so that they learn about human rights from a tender age. They learn about peace. This is incredibly important if we want to live in a society that truly respects human rights, the human rights of its citizens as well as others. So we look forward to hopefully a brighter future, a future where the interests and the dignity of people are taken dear at heart over any underlying financial or political interests. Thank you very much for your attention.
نشكر الأستاذ سلطان حسن الجمالي على هذا. نشكر الأستاذ سلطان حسن الجمالي.
Thank you very much, Sultan, for your presentation.
الذي عرفنا بالشبكة العربية وأدوارها.
In which you so very clearly explained to us how the Arab network functions. You told us about what the Arab network is doing with regards to the situation in Palestine. You also talked about what you do to protect children's rights. There are several initiatives currently underway to raise awareness amongst children themselves about their own rights so that they can stand up for themselves. So thank you, Sultan, for your very interesting presentation. Now I'd like to give the floor to Hamad Al-Hajri, Head of Scientific Research at the National Human Rights Committee. Before holding this post, he was in charge of training for the same institution, and he spearheaded several programs, courses to raise awareness about human rights throughout the Arab world. Currently, again, he's in charge of the research center of the Arab network. The research center is trying to raise awareness of human rights in Qatar as well as throughout the Arab world. You have the floor.
أصحاب السعادة السيدات والسادة السلام عليكم.
Ladies and gentlemen, may the peace be with you.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
I'm honored to be here in these and take part in this debate, in this dialogue. It is a great opportunity to speak about strengthening justice with children and speaking about the relationship between justice and children. Now, this is the 5th World Congress on Justice with Children. And because of this, I would like to talk about the integration of children's rights when it comes to justice. Also, I would like to talk about the role that national institutions can play when it comes to preserving human rights, specifically in Qatar. Now, let's talk about children, justice, and the international scenario. The International Declaration on Human Rights talks about this, as well as other documents. These speak about the rights of humans and children. These topics have been strengthened throughout the years. The Children Rights Committee has also created international documents on this topic. Now let's talk about the specific measures taken by the National Human Rights Committee. Nowadays, we're following a comprehensive methodology. This methodology is used to understand the relationship between children and the courts when it comes to infractions or offenses, rather. The idea is to include children, to speak about children that take part in any justice process, whether they are victims, offenders, witnesses, and so on and so forth. So, speaking about children, whether they are the ones committing the action or being a victim of the action. Speaking also about guardianship, for instance. Children need to take part in decision making, and this is crucial. We need a justice system that is child-friendly. In that sense, Qatar has adopted many measures when it comes to public policy, the aim being to strengthen children's rights. Also, let's speak about Qatar permanent constitution. The constitution promotes the development of children's rights. I'm speaking about Article 18, for instance. In Article 18, it is stated that the Qatari society is based on ethics. And then we have Article 22, where it is stated that the state, the government, needs to take care of youth. It needs to help young people and prevent them from committing offenses, promoting at the same time a safe environment and an adequate education. Qatar has promulgated different regulations, including the integration of human rights within the justice sphere. Now, when it comes to the 2030 vision in Qatar, it is quite aligned to what has been stated. Now, when it comes to the National Human Rights Committee, it must be stated that the efforts it's making are very important. I would like to briefly talk about the role that institutions play in Qatar.
كما تسهم في تحقيق التواصل بين المؤسسات والهياكل الرسمية في الدولة وبين المجتمع المدني
The international legislation and the national legislation are aligned when it comes to human rights and children's rights particularly. We need to take into consideration the role that all institutions are playing in that sense. And having this in mind, we have launched different projects. We have put all our efforts to guarantee justice when it comes to children. We are speaking about children's justice, and what do I mean by this? I mean that children's rights are well established within the justice framework in Qatar. For instance, we have an act to fight against cyber crimes, another act concerning human trafficking. All these regulations are established so that justice with children is guaranteed. The main project includes a comprehensive program, a program on children's rights when it comes to justice. Also, the responsibility age has been increased when it comes to crimes and offences. In Qatar, we are controlling detention centers, and what we are trying to do is to avoid children's detention. We are trying to use a different methodology, a methodology based on caregiving and promoting shelter homes or care homes, so to speak, in order to avoid detention measures. Now, public policies are being developed to attain these goals. We also write annual reports. And last but not least, Qatar is playing another very important role when it comes, for instance, to developing programs, raise awareness programs, when it comes to human rights and the culture of human rights, trying to improve protection criteria, and this is done through fora, congresses, workshops, awareness campaigns, and so on and so forth, including, for instance, all the programs launched by the National Human Rights Committee. Our main goal is to disseminate human rights culture, and we try to do this in schools, high schools, universities. Our goal is to transfer these human rights culture. So there's a lot of efforts, there are many efforts behind this. The National Human Rights Committee has organized the third Children Protection Forum, and this has been organized in the framework of cyber crimes and grooming. We've been talking about this topic related to children, of course, and we also had the participation of children, of students, and the aim was to promote a debate, a dialogue. The final goal being, as I said, to protect these children when it comes to internet use, protecting children also from the digital environment. We want to promote participation in debates, negotiations, and promote also the exchange of experiences among stakeholders. Now, I would like to mention the following recommendations, precisely because we are here at this Congress. First of all, the Universal Declaration on Preventing Violence Against Children. Now, what is our recommendation? We need to respect children's rights in all the measures that are adopted. Second, we need to promote children participation in decision making. Therefore, we need to review and amend crime law so that we can attain a comprehensive justice system. A system that takes into account children and promotes justice with children and for children. Third, we need to strengthen the role played by human rights institutions. We need to promote the role that they play when it comes to elevating knowledge on human rights. Thank you very much. May the peace of God be with you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hamad Al-Hajri. Thank you very much for such an interesting presentation. You've been talking about what Qatar has been doing in terms of public policy. You have also mentioned the efforts made by the National Human Rights Committee. Well, in general, we are following the Paris principles. And you have also mentioned what the National Human Rights Committee has been doing in terms of legislative proposals, the aim being to strengthen children's rights. You've been talking about detention centers, about detention and how to avoid it. So thank you very much. I would like to also thank the Sultan. And now, before opening the floor for questions, I would like to thank the organization. I would like to thank also the Mrs. Doha. The institution that she represents plays a crucial role. The institution is working so that they can unify certain criteria that are very important for us, also for directors of jails. There is a lot of work that is being done. There's a lot of work that is being done concerning prisons, as mentioned, and juvenile detention centers. In the future, we will cooperate with education ministries. Well, the speaker says not education ministries, but interior ministries rather. So a lot of work has to be done in that regard. When it comes, as said, to prison and detention centers, we need a permanent policy. There is an urgent need that has been presented in the Djibouti network. For instance, when it comes to training in detention centers and in prisons, to raise awareness on detainees and their rights. And in Doha, an event will be held where interior ministries are going to participate. the event, actually it's aimed at directors of prisons and detention centers. And if I'm not mistaken, this month a meeting will be held on these regards. That being said, I would just like to thank you all for all your efforts, and I would like to thank Mrs. Tarid. In the Arab Network, we are very proud of the cooperation, and now it is time for questions and answers.
موجود المايك.
طيب شكرا على العرض والتنظيم للندوة.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm Hani Hilal from Egypt, and I'm an expert when it comes to children's rights. I've been to Qatar. I attended a workshop on children's rights. It was held together with the Institution of Women's and Children's Rights. And I would like to thank you once again for your presentation. It's certainly good news. We are about to present the new law on children's rights. Now, we have a problem in the Arab region because you have two types of legislations for children. There is a crime law and then another one on human rights. But let's think about it. Children are children. We can just have one type of legislation, and also we need to take into consideration the digital environment. We need to tackle this aspect as well. That is why I believe it would be very interesting to exchange experiences on these regards.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
In the name of God, thank you very much. I would like to thank all of those who have just spoken. I'm Sahad Ali. I'm a counselor of the High Commissioner of Human Rights in Iraq. To be fair, we are very satisfied with the fact that we've been able to participate in this Congress. Unfortunately, communication with the Arab Network is not always a reality. And for many years, we haven't been able to promote communication because we were lacking the adequate or appropriate institution to promote. So I hope that in the future we would be able to collaborate more with our colleagues from the Arab Network. We are certainly very glad to see that participation has increased lately and that we've been working a lot on the children's justice topic. At the moment, we are developing a law on children's rights, and I would like to support what my colleague from Egypt has said. We need a draft bill from the Arab Network when it comes to children's protection. Mr. Hamad has mentioned that this law is about to be enacted, and what we can do is to work on a draft project, on a draft bill on the rights of the children, but we all need to work on the same draft. We need to work on the same document and do it together. Now, when it comes to legal support, well, this is very important as well. In Iraq, we are trying to understand how can we provide legal aid, or how a lawyer can provide legal aid during a judicial process. So in that sense, perhaps we could work together. We request the support of all our Arab friends. Specifically, when it comes to the classification, it is very important for Arab countries. So hopefully we will promote dialogue, as I said, with the Arab Network for national human rights institutions. And now when it comes to projects and activities, let's work together. We do have many experts that could bring something to the table. Thank you very much. I'm Mahmoud Muamma from the Appellation Court in Jordan. Thank you very much, Mr. Sultan. Thank you very much for presenting the Arab Network. Well, most of the legislations talk about the coming of age of children, and they speak about 18 years old. Now, the criteria are not clear when it comes to this. So, I would like to know, for example, can children be considered as witnesses? How old can they be in order to still be considered witnesses? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the information, and thank you very much for presenting the Arab Network for National Human Rights Institutions and also the National Committee of Qatar. Now, in my region, we have regional structures. And unfortunately, we are living conflicts in my region, and these conflicts have affected human rights, of course. It seems that human rights is actually a hot topic all over the world at the moment, especially considering what is happening worldwide. Now, what I propose is the following. The Arab Network could perhaps create another non-governmental institutions network that work on human rights. There are some national institutions that depend on the state, but then we also have the civil society, and the civil society is also working to share knowledge, to promote training. So perhaps we could have another network aside from the institutional network, and we should consider this idea. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Azmat Shambilov.
I'm from Madrid, here, Spain, originally from Kazakhstan. Really good examples that we can share in different countries. We try to create something similar.
Bueno, en Asia Central estamos intentando hacer algo parecido. Evidentemente, esta red que nos ha presentado es muy importante porque es importante compartir prácticas. Y lo hemos visto en que en los distintos países las experiencias pueden ser distintas, las metodologías también. Entonces mi pregunta es, ¿cómo vamos a hacer un seguimiento? ¿Hasta qué punto la red está teniendo en cuenta hacer un seguimiento de estas instalaciones para los niños? ¿Están planeando tal vez crear algún tipo de práctica regional, algunas directrices, algo que pueda ayudar en el contexto de los países árabes? Yo me especializo en esto y creo que es importante hacer un seguimiento, un monitoreo también a nivel global y me gustaría saber hasta qué punto ustedes están haciendo este seguimiento. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'd like to thank the Arab Network for all the work it's done. I'd like to thank the Penal Reform Association for its continued commitment in Arab countries. I'm from Tunisia. I'm also active in children's rights protection. I am a member of the International Association for the Protection of Children. I'm a judge, a university professor. In Arab country, in spite of this recent proliferation of new rules and legislation in the field of human rights, I'd say that human rights are often challenged, particularly when it comes to children's rights, specifically in spite of a number of relevant conventions having been ratified over the years, because I think there is a bit of a divergence across Arab countries when it comes to how these regulations are applied in the individual countries. So what we need, I think, in Arab countries is global overarching institutions which develop legislations for the sake of all Arabic countries. Hence my question, why is it that we don't have one single unified legislation for children's rights across Arab countries? Is this something you've been thinking about within the Arab League, for example? And are you open to collaborating with other institutions, because we do have unified overarching regulations which apply as blanket rules to all Arab countries, but we don't when it comes to children's rights. And if we did, it would go a long way to help us work together. And also, I should say, in Arab countries, we have linguistic problems because we all employ different terminologies in this field, and I think that should be addressed as well. Thank you.
صباح الخير ويعطيكم العافية.
Good morning. Thank you very much for your presentation. Good morning, everyone. I am Faris Al-Faq, a lawyer, original coordinator of the Access to Justice program at the Tadom Foundation. We work mostly at reception centers, specializing in young boys and girls and welcoming young boys and girls. And their experiences, I think, are very, very important in general. They're important to share. We also often work with teenagers. I just wanted to ask you if you have any experience working with young boys and girls, young children. Because we have set up a set of rules to make reception centres more child-friendly. We have been training our employees, for example, and so on and so forth. And reintegration is paramount as well. So this is what we have been doing, but we need to do more. These children come to us out of very difficult situations, and they need to be helped back into society, eased back into society. So yeah, this is my question basically, whether you have any experience working with children, and if you do, how do you have any specific programs to address the needs of boys and girls at reception centres? Thank you. Yes, good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. This is, of course, nothing new. We already knew you were a great man, really. I'm also a member of the network. Myself, I do a lot of awareness raising, but I have a question for you, one that I hope you'll find as warm as I intended it when I conceived it. I have a proposal regarding the African network, a proposal for collaboration with the African network. You know that the African network is very, very powerful. It's made up of different sections, each spearheaded by a different dedicated leader. Again, they're very, very strong. They're a strong organization. My proposal would be to set up sections within the Arab network with the goal of interacting with African countries as well as NGOs. Perhaps we could set up a section for Asia as well, but I think Africa is very, very important. Last question, please, very, very quick. My name is Mohammed Al-Karan. I'm from Palestine. First off, I wanted to thank Qatar for taking such a strong stance regarding the Palestinian issue. I'd like to thank the Penal Reform Association. Along the lines of what Faras said regarding reception centres, we'd like to know more about how many reception centres you have, if any, how many children have been received into them, what programs you already have underway, and what plans you intend to develop in the future. When I say plans, I'm talking about education programs or professional training programs. I'd like to know whether these programs are offered by the centres themselves, whether they're open to society as a whole. These are the questions I wanted to ask. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Mr. Al-Jabba, for your invitation to take part in this Congress, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to host this session in collaboration with the Arab Network and the International Penal Reform Organization. To answer Mr. Arjana, who is one of the founding members of the Arab Network in 2011. Back then, he was the Secretary General of the Algerian Committee on Human Rights, one of the people who most supported the foundation of the Arab Network pursuant to the Nouakchott Declaration. Well, your proposal is truly an excellent one, and we'll take it under advisement. Thank you very much. that as regards the question we received from our Iraqi colleague, well, what can I say? We're overjoyed to see you here today. The Iraqi High Commission plays a very important role. Ever since we created our network, you've always supported us, and we're ready and willing to support you back in any way you need. Starting now, up until October, or maybe even later if you like, will be at your disposal should you need anything at all from us. Thank you for your intervention, statements and questions, and thank you for your participation in this session. Yes, the proposals that you've made here today are all very good. It would be important to have specific laws regarding children's rights. Will truly help us work a lot better. But this is a process we've already commenced in Qatar. Hopefully it will bear fruit soon. Regarding your question about reception centres, our reception centres have been set up under the banner of the Social Development Ministry of Qatar. The ministry is staffed by experts, civil servants who work at these centres. Of course, all the centres are open. And the goal of these reception centres is to help young boys and girls reintegrate into society in the healthiest way possible. We still have a long way to go. We've already got a little experience in the field, but we still have a long way to go. It is true that we haven't been able to welcome as many children as we'd like to our reception centres, but at the same time this means we're able to offer excellent services to those we have already welcomed. We also have a different centre called Dreamer, and that's for parentless children. I think a reform of the relevant legislation will go a long way towards helping us in this regard. We heard from Melody the other day at the opening, during the opening of this Congress. And she said that when she went to the police station, she was questioned by detectives. I'm sure that must have been awkward, but children are supposed to be just that. They're supposed to be children, regardless of whether they're victims or perpetrators in a given circumstance. They have feelings that we should take into account. Thank you very much. Well, thank you all very much. All of your proposals, I have to say, have been excellent. We will take them under advisement and jot them down in our report in the minutes of this meeting. Yesterday, we talked about getting teenagers and children involved in what we do, but we need to find out just how to do it. Either way, your help will be much appreciated. We need to set up a proper legislative framework, one that is child-friendly. We know that. Regarding the question from our Asian friend, I should say that our network is not, let's say, organizational in nature. We do reports, but we don't do research necessarily. Research is done separately by other organizations, and then we collect the data and write out our own reports. But anyway, we'd be happy to stay in touch, and surely we'll find a way to help you accomplish your goals. Of course, it will be one of our top priorities moving on. Then Mr. Hamad, in general terms, talked about protection measures for children, the importance of having open reception centres. And we have a lot of information on that on our website if you want to look it up. Then Mr. Abdulahad, as you know, we are totally open to collaborations with the African network. We can't make a strict distinction between non-governmental organizations and national institutions. They all fall to us under the same umbrella because we need support from both, but we are totally open to this collaboration. And by the way, we already support several NGOs. But anyway, we'll take your proposal under advisement regardless of the specific country it comes from. Anytime we organize a training session, anywhere it is, we always invite NGOs to tag along. For example, at last session in Egypt, it was a training session. We invited a lot of NGOs to participate. Some of them dealt, for example, with women's rights, others with children's rights, etc. So yeah, it is something we always take into consideration because it is undoubted that these organizations are incredibly important. Anyway, this is all. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much once again for the invitation to participate. Thank you.